Look how peaceful it is outside when that fucking fan isn't on. It's so nice. Got to enhance and just take hold of the Friday feeling on a Friday like this. It's going to be a great day. We're also coming up to the end of the month. I always love the end of the month. Come out for a little bit of fresh air at lunch, clear my head, you know. It's rammed. How can anyone relax here? Dog. It's so stressful. You can definitely tell it's the summer holidays. They've started today. Had a pretty interesting day today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just heading home. Let's go into what we're doing. And it's rather annoying. So I've left it in a state where I want to go home and carry on working on it. But I'm going to try and resist, and I'm going to try and just do my own project this weekend. We noticed an issue with the way that we were currently doing our pages, which basically meant that if you were to go back, it would wipe information that's on pages in front of it. So we decided to change our back end to use patches instead. So you create a application and then you basically just patch all the pieces of information that you care about, which gives you complete flexibility on the front end because, and if anyone wants to use our API, you can design your front end however you want as long as you patch to our data. You could do different pages in different orders, all that malarkey. It's great fun. Otherwise though, the problem with this is we've basically taken away everything that integrates with our front end at the moment. We've essentially thrown a grenade into the bin. Actually nothing works. None of the methods are even there anymore. We've just got one big method instead of small methods. We're now at the point where we're trying to merge the front end to work with the back end again, and it's grim. It's grim. It's going to be a lot of hard work. And it's rather frustrating as well because we know that in the not so far future we're going to be redesigning the front end to take advantage of this back end, and we're going to have the idea of you create a person and then you add things to them instead of having you create an application and apply. You create something which can apply and then add things to that thing and then work from there. We're at the stage where currently nothing works. We have to do a lot of work to make it work and then potentially lose most of it when we change it all anyway. It won't change too much. Like, obviously all the back-end integrations are all going to be as you'd expect anyway, but the individual methods and the controllers and the pages that you go to might be slightly different, so you're probably going to have to change the tests anyway. But we've had a very productive day. We're going to have a very productive couple of days where you can just put your head down and do some work. They're the best days, to be fair, but they are the kind of days where you want to be on your own rather than pair programming, and I'm pair programming at the moment, and I'm like, I could do this 3 times quicker on my own. Oh god. Something tells me about the way that Graham's packed all of her shit onto one side of a cage, that she didn't like this new layout, but she does use a wheel more. Getting that summer bod. Good opportunity to get some work done today, but unfortunately it lay on a day where I needed to start on my daily vlog, my video, so I spent my evening while Laura was out with some friends, working on sorting out my video out, getting that uploaded, had my dinner, and then Laura came back, and then we've watched some TV and played some Xbox games and whatnot, and we're going to hit the weekend hard. We're going to have a productive weekend. Laura's got deadlines, I've got, well, time. I've had the fortune today to try and figure out how to allow a public endpoint to talk to another public endpoint, but stop other things talking to that public endpoint. Kind of act like a shield. What I essentially have is the problem where I don't want my security service to become, basically, be able to register new people. At the moment, my registering thing is kind of protected so bots can't just like hammer it. So you have to be a human, in theory, to hit my registration service, and then it just stops spam. But the problem is that my registration service is a separate microservice, so how do I stop other people basically just hitting that endpoint? All you need to do is essentially post back to my my shizness and all's good. So I was like, do I make it go through an API gateway? No, because I want everything that goes through the API gateway to be authenticated by the security service, and you're not authenticated yet. We had this problem at work, but the way that you register new clients is you're already authenticated on the platform, and then you do it. So the people who use our platform, who add more people, already have access, and then they talk to us to do it. It's just not like an open registered form that I'm currently doing. So what I've decided to do is have a play with service remoting, which essentially means that only items on my Service Fabric cluster can communicate using this method. So my security service offers up a interface which can be used to remote, basically the public web remotely directly communicates with it using Methods I don't know, probably a web API, probably, but it's secured, so it goes through secure Service Fabric instead of like over the public web. That's what I've been playing with today, alongside helping out with Laura with some stuff. She's working next door at the moment. We did go to town, we had a walk around and a bit of shopping. I bought myself a belt. I try and have a rule where I don't buy things between when I get paid and the first of the month, but I bought myself a belt because my belt I've had for years, and we've had it for longer than I've had it because it wasn't originally mine. It used to be Mum's. Dad stole it. I stole it off Dad, and I've had it ever since. But because it's a girl's belt, it has like the name on it is upside down. It says like Americano on it or something, and it's upside down. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna buy a new belt. So I went into the shop, bought a belt, and they were like, "Do you want a bag?" And I'm like, "No." Can you take the tags off it though? And I just put it on there and then walked out. It was great. It's all coming up roses, but it's something that I'm quite like frustrated at. Well, confused about actually, is I use something called Fluent Validation, which is quite a common like Fluent validation framework, ironically, and it's really cool. It's really nice. You can like dynamically set up like some really interesting like validation rules, and it all does it nicely, and it generates a list of the result is basically is valid, true or false, and then a list of validation results, which contain validation failures in them. So it's like different properties, so it can be all nested and whatnot. But there is no way of doing like a validation summary. And I was like, you know what I want to do? I kind of want to just kind of return just a string back that will basically say things like can't use the same email twice, or username taken, or something like that. I don't know. Things like that, which like the web is doing certain level of validation, but it's not checking the databases. And then as soon as you fire it off to the database in the back end will go, no, push it back to the front end. The front end will say, you can't have that, basically. But I'm like, right, okay, so basically, if I can have Fluent validation for all this, I can pump it through and then give you a nice error. Or if you have somehow managed to circumnavigate the UI validation, then and you've managed to post something that you shouldn't have been able to post, which is in theory impossible unless you actively. It should be impossible. But if you went a different route, let's say that there wasn't validation on, if you'd like given me an invalid email address, the Fluent validation would catch it and push it back to the UI. What I'd like is essentially be able to go, yeah, I was able to create it, or no, here's an error reason why, and display that reason if it's a user-friendly error. Like, right, I'm probably going to use this a couple of times because I use Fluent validation, and I probably want to display the validation errors to the user. Potentially in some scenarios, so maybe I'll not put it in this folder, maybe I can put it in like the core of this project. I'm like, but this is the security service, maybe presentation layer is going to use it quite a lot as well. No. Well, where can this go? And I'm like, okay, right, let's create a Nuget package, package it up, put it somewhere centralised. I'm like, hang on, someone else must have done this before, right? No, I can't find anyone who's done this before, and I don't know why. So I'm left with the option of being able to create my own Nuget package for it, or not bothering and just kind of returning it. I'm thinking I'm just going to add it to the object that I return back as like a, did I create it, yes or no. I'll just add validation results instead, and then I'll let whoever called me deal with them. But it's kind of annoying. It's kind of annoying, you know. And it's kind of the reason why I didn't use Fluent validation for the UI. I use model validation instead, which is like, it's much better at displaying the information back to the user on the actual web front end, because you don't have to like marry up your error messages. Instead, I'll just say literally like your email isn't a valid email, and look, bam, there you go, email, or your password isn't long enough, bam, there you go, password, all of that good stuff. Or you're a robot. You need to tell me you're not a robot. But yeah, so I was surprised that wasn't a thing. But yeah, we're heading to bed. We've got another day tomorrow of polishing up some work. Laura's got work to polish up, I've got work to polish up. But we're going to try and enjoy, well, make the most of it as much as we can. It's obviously Sunday, and Sunday is jobs plus work plus fun. Oh yeah. Look at that rain, lad. Oh, it's pissing it down. It's 3 o'clock and we've been working so hard so far today. Done all of the jobs, sorted out Graham, done the washing twice. That's it. But I haven't stopped until about half an hour ago where I had my cup of tea and now I'm getting into work. I want to be able to prove the fact that my front end can talk to my back end service nicely through remoting, and it's all going to be nice and grand, and then that's my target by the end of the day. ladies and gentlemen, I'm going for it now. I've been trying to get my proof of concept running today, and I just can't manage it. It's just not working out to me. I've got, like, the back end is essentially implemented. What I need to do is publish a Nuget package for the, that contains the interface that's then used to do Service Fabric remoting. And I can't get it to build on the build server because of, and I've had this problem before, and I can't for the life of me remember how I fixed it. It's like, it says that there's no output path defined. And, like, yeah, there isn't, but there also isn't. Like, you're supposed to define it. Like, it's generated. The output path's generated by the build, and the build's not generating that path and then failing because it isn't generating it. It's not throwing an exception or anything. And what's bizarre is, like, inside the Service Fabric application, there are two different, well, Service Fabric service, there are two different applications. The first one works fine, the second one, the new one, doesn't. And they're basically identical, and I've genuinely no idea what's going on. And, like, I have two different ones that are working, and one of them it stopped working for. And it could be the fact that there's two applications under one service, or two services under one application, whichever way around that is. But I know that that should work. Like, you can have several, so it's not like a limitation. It's a known thing. You can have loads. You can have as many as you want, in theory. It's probably capped at like 64 or something, I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of like frustrating. I'm like, what could it possibly be? And it's going to be one of them things, isn't it, where I spend a long time trying to get this one thing sorted. Just so I can get this fucking Nuget package published around. Oh, goddamn. Also, Graham ruined a cage last week. We're trying it back again with the glue on the top, and she better not ruin it. Guess what's back, ladies and gentlemen? Fucking alarm, man. I bet it's out the way back home as well. The game today is to fix my Service Fabric application, get my web project talking to my backend via Service Fabric remoting, and to sort out patches at work. We've got like half a day today because it's the end of the sprint, but we're going to try and, in theory, if we can build a nice reusable little chunk of code to facade around the API, it should be do it once, copy and paste it, job. Rather than like doing it in every single control. Just need to figure out a way of doing that generically. I believe we just have to like get it out, map onto it, put it back in, I think. Also, I had to leave my laptop at work today because I'm having it upgraded to Windows 10, which I'm super excited about. It's late, and tomorrow I'm inevitably going to be like, where the fuck's my laptop? So, Jamie, remember, your laptop is still at work. Otherwise, today has been semi-productive at work. We had half a day of meetings, which was kind of annoying. We like probably could have finished it if we had a full day, but we'll get it sorted tomorrow. We are just patching, basically. There's a lot to change, but yeah, we had a lot of meetings in the afternoon, which they were good meetings. And then otherwise, my evening has been really busy, like just trying to sort stuff out for like Laura and shopping and whatnot. There's a lot of stuff going on at the moment with just things that are dirtying up the time that I have, so I'm staying up really late. I've also seemed to have hurt my wrist and my neck today. Otherwise, in classic Mondays fashion, I'm pissed off at something, and I'm pissed off at Visual Studio build servers, VSTS hosted build servers. They're garbage. It's absolute crock of shit. Basically, I have a build agent. If I have two Service Fabric cluster services in one cluster, it won't build. It builds locally, runs locally, absolutely fucking fine. Happy birthday, get on your day, boy. Add a second one in, fine, absolutely fine. Put it on a hosted build server, doesn't work. And I'm wondering how difficult it is to use an old laptop. Which, is it down here still? Or does Dad have it? I have the old laptop. Oh, fuck yeah. Strongly contemplating hooking up this old laptop and using it as a permanent build server. Don't know whether or not that's going to be a pain because I don't have a permanent IP address, but I'm genuinely feeling that. It's either that or I fucking pay for one and host it in Azure because it's pissing me off. It's such a pain in the arse, and it's something that should just work and it just doesn't. And there's any number of things that could be in the way. Could it be the project? Might be. Seems to work fine locally though, so I'm assuming not. Probably the tooling. It's probably the tooling that hosted build server has access to. It's probably the wrong version. It's probably a couple of versions behind or something. I don't know. But it's not fucking working. I always have days like Mondays aren't my day. Not, I actually like Mondays, but I never have a productive Monday in the evening. I should just give up after work. I managed to convince myself last night that I'd got a blood clot in my wrist, and it was spreading up my arm, and my elbow was starting to ache, and my wrist was really hurting. So I was really scared to go to sleep, because I thought I was going to die. But then the other half of me is like, you're being ridiculous, you can't wake anyone up about this. So I just like, it took about an hour and a half to get to sleep, and I just basically cried myself to sleep, because I'm like, you know what, you're just going to die tonight. Fuck me. I am heading back home. I'm still computerless. Apparently the Windows 10 is taking, this Windows 10 update is going to take 2 full days, apparently. Guys, I'm confused. So we were driving back from Nottingham when we last went up, and someone flashed us on the motorway, and we were like, why are you flashing us like that? We just don't know why you flashed us. We got out the car and we realised that our brake lights were wrong. Basically, as you can see in there, there's 2 filaments. And if you can kind of see, and both of them were lighting up all of the time. Only on the left one, and only on, the left one. And that was the one that I changed most recently, when we had a break. So I'm like, right, well I must have just wired it up wrong. I'll wire it up. So anyway, take it out, test it, right, yep, that's definitely what the problem is. Just change the bulbs back to the other way around, and they work. So now the new bulb is on the right one, and the right one, the old bulb is on the left one, works. I'm like, right, okay, I'm just going to vlog about this. I'm going to swap the bulbs back to demonstrate. Now the new bulb's in the left one, like it previously was, and the old bulb's in that one, and it works fine. So it must have just been a connection or something, I don't know. That's crazy. You remember me saying yesterday about how I should boot up a laptop and use it as a build server? Turns out, that's way overcomplicating it. Generating and using a build server, build agent, on VSTS is fucking the easiest thing I've ever done. There's now basically a build agent installed on my laptop and my desktop, and if either of them are on, there's a Windows service that runs in the background, and that is available in the default build queue. So now there's a difference between the default build queue and the hosted build queue. The hosted build queue uses Azure, and there's like a certain amount of free credit I get, whichever one gets using VSTS. That's not great. Like, there are issues with it in the sense that because it's a VM that's, well, not a VM, but because it's a container that's spun up each time, it's a the Nuget packages can't be cached, so the build's a bit slower, whatever, etc. Some other issues is the tooling on it isn't always the most up-to-date stuff. Basically means because it's a hosted, shared environment, it's obviously Microsoft are going to pick the build agent that has the path of least resistance. But that might necessarily mean that a previous build, I might be using a feature that needs a newer version of Toolkit or whatever, different tools on it. For example, my laptops run a newer version of the Service Fabric SDKs, so I can use newer stuff. It's all grand. Yeah, now if one of my laptops are up, they're in the queue, bang, it just pulls it down. Absolutely awesome. That's dope. And we're saying that we could do that at work as well. If we really wanted to, we could turn all of our laptops into build servers, and they would just sit there and listen to the queue. So if the builds just start ramping up, then we can just literally just share it across all the machines. And that would be so cool. But it's not really a problem because our builds take like 15 seconds max. It's one of them things where like maybe one day it's worth it. When we have like loads of microservices and like just the sheer quantity of them is enough to kind of break, to kind of like start slowing things down, even though they're each individually really quick. So for example, when you're doing like things like pull requests, it could like build the branch, build the pull request, build master, so it'd be like 3 builds just on one branch, so if you do multiple of them, then at the end of the day it's not going to be a problem. But it'd be cool. Yeah, you literally just download an agent, configure it, set it up with the like its own password, like its own personal access token jobber, and then bam, wham bam, thank you man, it's awesome. But yeah, otherwise in good news as well, I've managed to fix my build. The problem was with me. It's always been with me, really. Every problem I've had so far has always been my fault. I missed where to configure, while I was configuring the target framework. Service Fabric runs on 64-bit only at the moment, but everything's like defaults to 32. So I was setting it to use x64, but where I was setting it to use x64, it was basically by, if available, use it, but otherwise if 32 is available, use that. It's one of those. And I figured out where it is that you actually set it to say always use x64, which is bizarre because I haven't done that at work. I always did it in the place that I first tried it. I haven't done that here, but who knows. Yeah, that's productive. Otherwise, we've been looking at some of the stuff today. I've been making some phone calls, dealing with some stuff that I'm dealing with, as I normally am. Sorted out my lights, which is good as well. Tomorrow, it's a new month. Was today a new month? Have I already missed it? Fuck, that means the title of this video is going to be bullshit. Sorry about that. Yeah, tomorrow, it's a new sprint. We're starting a new sprint tomorrow. We're going to end up bringing some stuff over into it, even though we've kind of like delayed the start of this sprint to carry on working on this thing we're working on. It's going to be good fun. We've got a new person starting. My laptop might come back to me tomorrow. Apparently it takes it could take over 2 days to install Windows 10 on my laptop, which is wild. Apparently there's like a load of security stuff that needs to be installed that's not playing nicely, so they're having problems. But that's by the by. Yeah, that's that. Right, okay. And then tomorrow, or in the next video, we will get this service remote in working, which is what I said I wanted to do on Sunday and missed it because of this build problem, which has fucked me until today. To be fair, it's only Tuesday, it's not too bad. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll catch you later.